All right, so we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and today it's great to have Cornelius here. You're somebody that's been pretty innovative in the footwear space, which I think is really a nice breath of fresh air. You've decided to go at one of the hardest parts of the process, being the manufacturing of sneakers, and create something really different. Bring in 3D printing technology, make it simple, make it much quicker, and be forward thinking with your approach with 3D printing, and trying to make something that can change the way that shoes are developed industry wide. So I'm excited to have you here and to get into your story.
I'm super excited to be here, Ben.
Awesome. So how did your passion for footwear and design and kind of entrepreneurship begin? What inspired you to go on this path?
Cool. Uh, so actually it started kind of as two independent streams. So on the one hand, I was always a kid that loved shoes. I loved being the guy that always had the weirdest shoes on the schoolyard, basically. And especially in Germany, where everybody tries to be, where nobody tries to uh, be a little bit outstanding. Nobody, like, everybody wants to be a conformist. It is very unusual. If I always saw myself as a misfit, and so I chose my shoes. So that always was a big part of it. Obviously, also the sneaker hype with like Jordans and being a rebel and everything that came around with it. Like, I always felt misunderstood, and shoes gave me this level of emotion where I felt understood. That was one thing. But then obviously a huge another thing was that independent stream of, like, I don't know, becoming more and more a techno optimist, where I just fucking loved falling, like, where I really fell in love with what technology can do to help improve our world. And although those were very much unconnected streams at first, at some point while I was studying engineering, they came together. Because like I was studying in Zellerfeld, which is like a super isolated mountain city in the middle of nowhere in Germany. And like basically you could either, like, you have no leisure activities whatsoever. It's like a town with 10,000 people and no, like, again, no leisure activities. But the only thing that you can do is either drink lots of beer or try to do something useful with your time. And I always was obsessed when I was scrolling Instagram with all those sneaker designs that never saw, like I don't know, that never were brought into reality. And I always was, Nike and Adidas was trying to feed us always the same shoes, but on Instagram you saw those designs from all those super passionate designers that with so much love every single pixel basically they try to perfect. And I was always like, man, this, like, you can feel the love that they have put in. And I was like, I didn't want another Jordan, I wanted one of those. And I asked myself, why is it just Jordans and Sambas in the market and not those great designs that obviously also went viral all the time? And what I realized is that the biggest issue there is the upfront investments. If you have an amazing footwear design idea, and that is very much like any product idea that you might have, but if you have a footwear design idea, you just for one design, you're looking at like $500,000 in upfront investments and at least an 18 months process. So I was like, that needs to be better. And 3D printing is a solution for that. Brings it from 18 months to a couple of days, and from $500,000 to $100 or so. And this is when my, like, I don't know, my life purpose switched to getting printed shoes on every foot.
How did you come up with like the process to actually make 3D printing viable for footwear?
Back in the day, so I was a student and I had a job, and like I was so proud when I finally could get my first 3D printer. And obviously, just like any 3D printing nerd, you start out with printing some useless toys and keychains, and once you have all of them, you ask yourself, okay, what else can I do? And obviously I thought, hey, maybe I can text some of those Instagram people that I really adore, of those designers, and just offer for free, because I just had fun doing it. Hey, can I print one of your shoes, and try to make it actually a wearable shoe? And back then, I was even younger and naive, and I thought, I don't know, maybe it's a weekend project to print this one design for that dude. But now after 8 years, I'm still not happy. But yeah, I don't know. It over time, I realized there is nothing. There's no printer that can actually print shoes. So I just got sucked more and more and more into it. So up until the point where I started developing printers with like a bunch of fellow engineering friends. And now we have those 200 self-developed, self-built, self-assembled machines here that also run our custom software now and all of that stuff. We reinvented 3D printing just to make shoes functional, printed shoes functional. And uh, yeah, now obviously over the time we learned a lot, and now we are very proud that those 100-hour work weeks paid off, that we are at least also considered the world's best in terms of printed footwear.
Definitely done a lot of interesting things for the space. So you were able to convince some great investors to get on board with you, one of which is Basti, who founded, Postmates. How did you convince people to back this idea? Because it was a pretty radical idea at the time, and there's no other footwear brand that was even manufacturing like this.
So Basti is actually a cool story. I hope he hears that, because while I was studying in Zellerfeld, again in the middle of nowhere, a mountain city, um, especially in Germany, when you have an idea, you are considered crazy, and Basti knows this. Um, Obviously, with his starts, also with his first startup attempts, also being in Germany, and there was a time when we had, in my opinion, a process which already was better than, I don't know, an Adidas Futurecraft with carbon, or I don't know, Nike back then had something called fly print, which were printed uppers, and what we had was better, but nobody know of us. And there was a time when back then one of my I don't know, one of my colleagues, and you could call him a co-founder, left, where I was basically alone, and I also had to do his stuff, and he was like soldering PCBs for the printers that we were building, and I had no clue. So like every day I was trying to replicate those PCBs and soldering them myself, and every day it took eight hours, and basically over the entire day I was soldering, and in the evening I was plugging them together, and it was just a little bit of smoke, and it didn't work at all. And after the fourth day I realized this is not going to work the way I'm doing this right now. So I basically Googled most successful German entrepreneurs in the US. And Basti was one of the top 10 or so. And I wrote him a message on Facebook back in the day. And like even then, nobody used Facebook anymore. And that was like, I don't know, 6 years ago or so. But and nothing came out of it. I texted also a couple of others, but like those conversations went nowhere. But Basti, after like 3 or 4 months, replied and said, "Yo, this is really cool. I love sneakers, anyways. Let's talk." And then he started to guide me a little bit, which was really, really helpful, and which I will be thankful for him forever. And yeah, he brought me more into that world of like USVC funding and all of that stuff, which in the end also paid for all of this here and really helped us becoming like a well capitalized startup that can actually solve the problem they are facing, and that makes me really happy and grateful.
So you were just because you shot your shot at a message, through Facebook, you were able to
Yes,
put the capital in.
yes, and because Basti is a great dude and actually responds.
That's awesome. It's a good story.
Yeah.
So you have a interesting process where you're able to like recycle. You can recycle your shoe that you've bought and make it into a new one. Can you just talk a little bit about like how you want to make this like a full circle kind of like fully sustainable system?
Sure. So every shoe that we print, maybe I can show you. Every shoe that we print is basically is like one material, and what you can see there is, so it basically uses the same material everywhere, which is a huge difference to the traditional sneakers that you own or probably have you on your foot right now. Because usually sneakers, like a traditional runner, consists out of 30 different materials, and you can do anything with it after its use. But here, because it's the same material, it's much like much like a PET bottle. It has no glues, no stitches, nothing whatsoever. Just by altering the structure, you can make it harder and softer in different areas. Like, for example, this here is very soft, but the midsole, as you can see, is not giving in so much because it needs stability. And and then the outsole, for example, like this part here, is actually even stiffer because it's the outsole which needs to be abrasion resistant and so on and so on. And just by altering the structure and printing it denser and less dense and like all of that stuff, you can create the same properties that you would usually need different materials for. But here you only need one, which in the end makes it fully recyclable because it's a TPU, which means it's in the end you can just grind it up, melt it, and make a new shoe out of it again, which is a huge revolution and also is a solution for the afterlife of a worn pair. And a couple of brands already used that quite successfully. So, for example, we did a shoe with Moncler, and that shoe had just right off the bat, it had like 65% of the materials were fully recycled from old shoes that we had, and that is incredible because usually this is kind of unheard of. And that is what we are really proud of, and what we want to focus on even more in the future. Right now we focus mostly on scale because right now here we can only get like 100 or 200 pairs out every day, and we need to increase this to thousands because this is what the demand is right now. So we are still far below, how can I say, like the demand is way higher than what we can satisfy right now. But like as more shoes are worn every day on the street, this obviously becomes a higher and higher priority.
Definitely. So, one of the interesting aspects, Cornelius, about what you're doing is like the fit can become like the best fit you can possibly get in a shoe because of how custom it is. How is that kind of done? How are you able to provide this incredible fit?
So you take 2 pictures of your feet, and with an AI, which has like 40 million foot scans in the background, we precise 2 millimeter in different girth and width measurements and length measurements. We can just basically every shoe that we do is just software. So also you can imagine, like, for example, as this is just a 3D model, like basically the instep we can give it a little bit more, or we can tighten it a little bit more based on how your instep is shaped, or based on how your arch is shaped, or your arch position, or your forefoot width versus heel width, and all of that stuff. And since it's just software, the great thing about 3D printers is they can produce, every product can be different, every single print can be different. It's just software. And so that means custom fitted shoes at no extra cost. And obviously this is what we heavily lean into, because this way we can make shoes that support you in every step that you take in life way better than any other standard pair that was not even made for you, but like for like those shoes have to fit everyone. You're literally in someone else's shoes. And I believe this will be a huge revolution, because when you look at the history, I don't know, over the last decades, sneakers became hugely popular. Now you can wear sneakers even with suits at a wedding. And that was unimaginable a couple of decades before. But why did this get so far? It's because they are just way more comfortable in the end. And people just started wearing them because it's their favorite choice of footwear, because they're more comfortable. And now the great thing about printed footwear is that like since they are accustomed to your foot, once you have a custom fitted shoe, like you will see the world of footwear with different eyes. You will be like once you experience that, you will never want to have any other shoe again. And so what I believe will happen over the next decades is that everybody will switch to custom printed shoes. And it sounds so expensive, but actually it's just a little bit of plastic and a little bit of energy. It's actually cheaper than sweatshops in the end as well, although it's fully automated. And this is why I believe it's a no-brainer. It's like, it's such a no-brainer as digital photography was. Like, now I have 100,000 pictures on my iPhone. All of them are snaps probably that I will never see again in my life. But since there's no cost with taking another picture, I will keep taking another picture, more pictures. And this is what 3D printed footwear will be. Very soon you will have better fitting shoes, better looking shoes for a fraction of the cost of how you're consuming shoes today.
So the vision definitely makes sense and the benefits are there. But what do you think it will actually take to scale this out and make it, as affordable, as cheap as the traditional processes, and have these other brands and embrace it as their main manufacturing method?
Scale. So every day we work hard on. We have now 200 printers in this room here, but the next room or the next farm we are building has 5,000 printers in them. And with those we can make the first millions of pairs a year. And that is still nothing. If you think about it, Nike, I believe, makes like 5 million pairs a day. So in the next farm, we will make in a year what Nike will make in a day, which is like still like a tiny fraction of the market. But as printers get faster, much like Moore's law in computing, for example, like it's crazy. Every week we get 5% faster in terms of print speed. Every week we cut out some new some parts in the printer so that we can reduce part count and scale faster, assemble faster, and all of that stuff. It's just a matter of time until there will be 1 million printers that are printing all the shoes in the world. Maybe not all Zellerfeld printers, but also maybe, I don't know, franchisees or whatever. But yeah, it's mostly scale. The cost itself is not the issue. The issue is like a shoe that we print right now is already cheap enough. The problem is it's hard to make more. So it still isn't like, although every pair is profitable, still far away from paying for paying all the bills here, because we can't make enough. So every single minute, every single second, every single cent we can get, we have to put in how can we make more quicker.
So it's going to just be come down to speed.
Because maybe if I can add on it, printed shoes on every foot in the world will not be a demand issue. Once you have printed shoes on your foot, you will never want anything else. Getting printed shoes on every foot in the world is a scaling game, is an output game. And once you solve that output game, you win.
So it's going to come down to speed.
Yeah, speed and number of printers.
Number of printers. So, how do you view your relationship with consumers? Because you can manufacture shoes for other brands, you can create your own. Where do you see the long-term vision of where Zellerfeld is?
I believe Zellerfeld will be that one-stop shop for every consumer. I believe what you have with Spotify right now in music, that is what Zellerfeld will be with footwear. We will know how you like your shoes based on the two pictures that you send us in our app. And once we have sent you the first shoe, we will harass you with giving us 3 points of feedback, very, very easy and fun to do. And then you have given us feedback. And based on that feedback, trust me, Ben, I will have you for life. You will never want any other shoe. And then the cool thing is we have built Zellerfeld as a platform so that every shoe, obviously we are a two-sided marketplace. So brands and creators are uploading every day new designs on Zellerfeld.com. and consumers can buy those. Like it's basically like YouTube for shoes or an app store for physical things, starting with shoes. And so once we know how you like your shoes, every day, like more designs get added. So it's just a matter of time because we are digitalizing designs. We have the biggest inventory of designs in the world very soon. Not today, but very soon. And then you will just know whatever shoe you buy at Zellerfeld, it will just fit like all the other shoes that you bought from Zellerfeld. And this trust and this like you not needing to worry and all of this, like I don't know, like lots of people, I don't know how it is in the US, but in Germany lots of people, if they go online shopping for shoes, they buy 3 different sizes of their favorite pair because they don't know what size will actually fit. So they buy 3 sizes and then the 2 that don't fit they send back and shit like that. Like all of those things get solved once we know how you like your shoes in terms of comfort, in terms of fit. And then it's just a number of designs and like having the biggest varieties, having the biggest brands, having all the brands that you love. And then again, like I think we will be a dominating force like Spotify is right now for footwear, for music. Sorry.
Well, definitely sounds good to get to that point. I think that you're designing the platform to be, have that type of skill for sure. It's easy to upload, you can make your own, and anyone can really participate, which is very similar to the platform aspects of Spotify.
Yeah.
So just the last question that I have, if you had to like kind of lay out some of your like, short-term or long-term goals over the next 5 to 10 years, what would you say those ones would be? And could get like overall, like what are your milestones, Cornelius, over that time?
Next milestone is right now we have fulfilled 10,000 pairs of printed shoes. The next goal, and that's like kind of an important metric for every shoe producer. It's like in the shoe industry business, it's an important metric for producers, 1 million pairs a year. Mm-hmm. That is the next immediate goal. Obviously, mid and long term, let's say the next 10 years, printed shoes on every foot. That will probably not happen by us printing every pair. We are thinking here more of like I don't know, like a franchise approach where we might become like a 3-sided marketplace or something like this, where also not only brands and creators and consumers are 2 parts, but also maybe licensed producers as well. Because in the very long term, what I would love for Zellerfeld to become is an app store of things. Because let's be real, this problem of product innovators not being able to create is not only a problem in footwear, it's a problem everywhere in physical products. If you have the world's best idea for the world's best cooking pot, like you also, just like in a footwear design, you need to invest millions, you need distribution partners, you need to build up inventory, all of that crap. Like you have to pre-produce it overseas, then pay for minimum order quantities, although you have no idea if it will ever sell. And I can't sleep at night. I worry that we as society, although we have like in software, it's so easy to contribute to the world. You have an idea, you build it, you have an idea in the morning, you build it over the day. In the evening, you can distribute it through the internet to billions of people. You don't have that in product innovation yet. And what I just hope what Zellerfeld becomes is that one day we can move beyond shoes so that we can become this app store of things. So that when Elon has his colony on Mars, like, do you think he will take leather rolls with him for his shoes? No. He just needs some printers up there. And then we need to have a way to digitally send models. If Apple releases a new iPhone, shall we load up 10 starships to put them and basically ship them, which takes 3 years, so that the Mars colony can have the newest iPhone from Earth? That will not work. We need to find a way, long term anyways, so we can start also today. We need to find a way how to digitally send products as production files, not only through to different planets, but also within Earth. Like on Earth. Like, I think it's crazy that all the shoes that we wear are made in Asia, pre-produced 18 months before they come to market. and then they are shipped over the ocean, although nobody knows if they will sell. I think that's insane. I think future generations will think this is absurd if you can just push a button and you pay cents. And what I would just love for it to be is that we one day, once we have printed shoes on every foot, much like Amazon had, they IPO'd as a bookstore, but now they are so much more. I would love for Zellerfeld to be that much more. I think that would be sick.
Well, I'm excited to see how your vision is going to fully come to life. I think what you've already done in the space it's already had, pretty big impact. People look at what you're doing as an innovator, and you are really pushing boundaries in an area that I think needs to be expanded on, because that physical product creativity is not people are not able to fully actualize that. So I look forward to seeing what's next and you hitting that million milestone of 1 million pairs a year, and appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ben. For anyone listening, I think the best thing, if you're interested in what we do, go on zellerfeld.com, buy a slot, and every day new designs launch. Then you will see what's happening in the how the future of products looks like. I think that will be great.